Hello and welcome to Train2Game's QA course. This DVD will give you an understanding of the role of a quality assurance tester and the skills you'll learn from our course. Skills which can open the door to other roles in the games industry and beyond. The last few years have seen several industry sectors suffer, and yet the games industry continues to show no signs of slowing down. With record successes in game sales and the introduction of several new multi-million-dollar game franchises, games development remains a strong growth sector. There have been new platform introductions in the form of Oculus Rift, Ouya, and Steam's own hardware platform. Both Sony's PS4 and Microsoft's Xbox One have matured and established themselves as market leaders. And of course, mobile device gaming has seen meteoric growth, especially in the sector of free-to-play. Quality assurance is a critical component in games development, right from the first code being written through to post-production. It's the job of the QA test team to test the build and document any uncovered errors, from art glitches to level bugs. They then report these errors to the production team to make sure the game is as fun as it can be and doesn't get delayed in development. Communication is key. The world of video games production is constantly evolving to keep pace with technology and gameplay advancements. Never has there been a more important time for quality assurance testing. Without QA, games just wouldn't work, and certainly wouldn't be the high-quality entertainment experience that people expect today. It's the role of a QA tester to test different levels and versions of a game and to analyze its performance against what the designer intended. Any problems that are identified have to be reported into a software quality management system, looking at what's causing the problem as well as suggesting improvements. Mistakes can creep in during the development process, and the QA team are vital to fine-tuning the game. With so many publishers across the globe, it's a competitive industry, so development studios can't afford to release games that aren't fully tested. Thanks to AAA blockbuster games such as Destiny, The Last of Us, and Clash of Clans, all of which make many millions of dollars in sales, the video games business now outperforms the sales of the movie and music businesses combined. From a QA tester, you could progress up through the software testing discipline ranks to lead tester or QA management. You could also branch out to specialize within certain areas of testing, such as compliance testing, compatibility testing, or even into software security. Testing can also lead to career progression into the wider games industry and beyond. Many former testers move into level design, production management, or marketing. The skills and experience gained in QA will give any tester the foundation to know and understand the game's development process and the games industry from the ground up. There is no better way to ensure a head start in the industry. QA testing skills are easily transferable to other technology and entertainment sectors. After all, absolutely every type of software needs to be tested. There are no exceptions to this rule. From calculators to satellite navigation systems, they all contain software, and every aspect of that software needs thorough testing. As a tester, no matter if you're testing an application or a game, the skills needed to test, track, and identify bugs are all the same. Deductive reasoning, logical thinking, tenacity, and curiosity are all needed in all testing jobs. The skills gained in games testing, which may seem only relevant to games, such as improving the user experience and making the user interface more intuitive, are relevant to testing any software that has any end-user interaction. At the end of the day, whatever the software, if it has a good user experience, you know that this is down to the QA tester and his team. You will learn skills that will develop your knowledge of how computer software works, as well as the ability to know where bugs are likely to happen and why. You will also learn how to keep best practice standards that will enable you to be the finest tester that you can possibly be. These skills will make you invaluable to any employer and will ensure you can work efficiently and with confidence. The course and Train2Game is supported by Tiger, the national trade association that represents games developers in the UK and Europe. Software testing and QA forms one of the core disciplines required for all successful games. None of the major titles would look like they do without the work of the tester. And that's why big companies like Activision, EA and Ubisoft place so much emphasis on QA. As we have already said, the industry is here to stay. It has grown from a cottage industry to a multi-billion-pound market, and QA is a great route in, taken by many who have gone on to achieve great things. Remember though, software testing opens doors into many industries, not just games production. So well done and good luck.
The industry is changing. It hasn't stopped changing in the last 10-15 years. At the moment, we're seeing a lot of self-publishing and a lot of new technologies like virtual reality that are taking over the games industry. It's fantastic to see because it means we're not a stagnant industry, we're always progressing and there's always something new and exciting around the corner that we can work on. When recruiting staff for the QA department, one of the biggest challenges we face is finding testers that will have the necessary skill set and passion. We look for a core set of abilities like time management, like attention to detail. And in addition, we are ideally looking for that expertise and that experience in game playing and a technical knowledge and technical background that often is lacking unless they have done some previous training. A candidate coming to us, having completed a course similar to Train2Game, will come to us with an advantage. It will mean that their work will have a higher quality from day one because they have received that training and they will only need to be trained in our internal processes and procedures. They will already have general knowledge on how to bug test, how to do bug reporting, how to identify issues in a game in software. I'd say QA is a fantastic career choice. It's a hard career choice, but if you have the passion for games and the will to learn and to do some training, you will go places and it's a great place to work.
When I started 8 years ago, you could pretty much just step into the industry via people you knew, but now it's kind of shifted along to knowing your stuff prior to the job, because obviously we don't want to spend a lot of time training up new recruits. With candidates that have already been trained in a lot of the processes required for testing, it's actually a great advantage to us because they can hit the ground running. We don't have to spend time and resources getting them up to date. We can just tweak their knowledge to working with our teams and our processes. It just cuts down the turnaround time of getting things kicked off a lot. It's also important for our testers not to just be focused on bugs. That's the bread and butter of testing, but it's not the only thing. Obviously gameplay and the game being fun is an important part of it for the end user. You know, if the game's not fun, there's no point to it in the end of the day. So that's why having someone who has experience across many genres and platforms, they'll be able to look at these things in a subjective manner and be able to point out how other games have done it well and basically how it can be improved, tweaked to give that end user the best possible experience there is. And the only way a tester is going to have that experience is by playing games.
I think QA is a great department to start off in the games industry. Because it gives you a real foothold into how everything is managed. So you'll talk to developers and you'll get an understanding of how they put in their bugs and how they actually communicate with each other. And it's a great area that you can launch yourself off into other departments such as programming and art and animation, because you get a feel for everything when you're QAing a game. You're testing each individual aspect. So you can see the programming behind it and you can see the animation and how it works. And when you test a variety of different projects, and you kind of see what they have in common, and then you can kind of go, oh, I can learn that, you know, kind of see that. But it's a great foothold to start off in, because you're talking to the developers, you're making contacts, you're working on their projects, and you're kind of seeing how the building blocks go from alpha to beta to gold, and you get a good sense of how you can do it yourself and how you can be involved in other aspects of the development as you go. Okay, so if QA wasn't part of the game industry, just I can't even tell you the quality, how bad the quality of games would be. It's absolutely vital role that the developers send out their work for QA. Most games wouldn't even be playable. You'd boot it up and it would break. So it's that important that we go through each area, and that someone can get from start to finish without any problems. Without QA involved, it's very unlikely you'd make it to the end of the game. So I started QA with zero experience. They took me on where I had no QA idea whatsoever. I think if I'd have had a course behind me, it's been a real kind of uphill battle at the start, kind of the first few months to get used to those processes and used to the way of thinking about a game in a QA sense. So not just playing the game and actually thinking about kind of going through it in a logical way from the front end to the gameplay. If I'd have had a course behind me where I'd learned those basics and learned the kind of difference between white box testing and black box testing, then it would have made it a lot smoother from the beginning, because the first 6 months or so was just kind of learning those processes. But QA anyway is great for progression because you have so many different roles and different areas that you can look at. So to stay in QA specifically, there's tons of opportunities for career progression. The aspect that I most enjoy in the job is seeing a project grow over time. So when you take something from its alpha stage and you kind of, over the months you watch it eventually get into the beta stage and other people get involved, and eventually when it gets to that top published level and you see it's actually on the market and people are playing it and you know that you've been a huge part of that with the quality assurance, you just get an immense sense of pride really for being a part of something. And with QA being such a key point in the game industry, it's just nice to be a huge part of that really, and kind of say, yeah, I helped get that game to where it is today.